Hey there, welcome into another episode of the Playing in the Sandbox podcast, where we are deeply committed to inspiring action in today's leaders. And on today's episode, I am joined in the sandbox by a friend of mine, Melissa Houston, who hails from Ottawa, Canada, and she is a CPA who works with entrepreneurs, business owners, and corporations on building their personal financial wealth. And why is Melissa right for the sandbox, you might be asking? Because I love a good testimony, y'all. And she has a great testimony about navigating her personal and business finances when she found herself at a bit of a crossroads. And I don't want to give away all of it, but I want to tell you that today's episode, you're going to be diving into your money story, all around your money mindset. You know, I love talking about a good mindset and a negative one, right? Where we get to course correct in our thinking. And today's episode is going to help you do that, because no matter where you are in your world of work and success, whether you're an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur, a CEO, a corporate mogul, this episode is going to have something in it just for you around the way you frame up your personal finances. And one of the things we talk about is about keeping up with the Joneses. And don't you know that even the Joneses are having a hard time keeping up with the Joneses in today's world economy? So I want to invite you into the sandbox, kick off your shoes, step in, and let's get comfy and cozy, talking all things playing not to lose with your money. Welcome into the sandbox. I'm excited to have you join me today. I am here in the sandbox with my friend Melissa Houston, all the way from Ottawa, Canada, and thrilled that we are going to be sharing a conversation around playing not to lose with your money. It's an important conversation to have. And Melissa, I know you have an amazing testimony that you're going to be sharing with us today about managing both your personal and your business finances, and not to mention the relationship in the middle of that, as sometimes they can get twisted and tangled up. And I want you to share that story with us. But tell us first, Melissa, about yourself and tell us all the great things that you do in the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here, Tammy. I just want to start with that. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you having me here with you today. So my name is Melissa Houston, and I am the founder of She Means Profit, which is a blog, a podcast, and a YouTube channel. And She Means Profit was created to help entrepreneurs create wealth for themselves in their business so that they can create wealth for themselves outside of their business as well. So we're teaching people to have large, lofty financial goals and to go after them and succeed. Now, a little bit about myself is I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA for over 20 years. However, being a CPA was not my first career move. My first career move was in social work.
Yeah.
And I worked in social work for about 6 years and moved to being a CPA. And then I needed to marry both skills, like the best of both skills, where I love to work with people and I love to help people. And my money skills, I combined them. And this is how I help business owners today.
Wow. The fact I forgot that you had shared with me once upon a time about being in social work and then going into working with numbers. And to me, those are really different worlds.
They seem really different on the surface,
Yeah.
but as I started my business, She Means Profit, and I knew before then actually that there's definitely a connection between our emotions and money. And it's all about getting perspective on that and learning how to look at money as a tool rather than something that we identify our self-worth with.
And I love that. It's used as a tool versus identifying and it's that picture that we have internally in our minds, right? About how we see ourselves. And I love that you're helping your clients get into that, right? And break into
Yeah.
or a break apart, if you will, how they see themselves and how they're using money as a tool, which is part of why I wanted to bring you into the sandbox for the conversation today, because I know that while you're helping entrepreneurs grow their 7-figure enterprises, right, their large enterprises and growing, I know that you've had an interesting journey that led you to this juncture. And we know,
Yes.
and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, your forthcoming book. So we'll have a spoiler alert. She's got a book coming out this spring. We'll tell you more about it later on, and I'm really excited about the book. I've already pre-ordered mine. And but I want to hear a little bit about the change, the shift, that walk that you went through as a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Finding yourself at a certain crossroads. And I want you to tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this really was a pivotal moment in my life where, I had known for about 10 years that I wanted to branch out and start my own business. I wasn't like super happy in my career. And, I felt like there was that lack of people contact and helping people was really missing in my life. But it was also something that was very scary and risky to me. And I felt like because I had the perfect job, that I couldn't leave it or that I was being ungrateful or, all these different kinds of emotions. So instead of dealing with it, I, just tried to stuff it, kind of like now's not the time. No, I'm not meant to be a business owner. Whatever excuses I was giving myself
Mm-hmm.
was starting to come up in some bad behaviors as I suppressed my feelings of wanting to do this, and this happens to everybody where if we're suppressing something, it pops out, it rears its ugly head somewhere else. And for me, what I ended up doing is spending a massive amounts of money. And being a CPA, having over 20 years experience managing money for businesses, being a personal finance expert, like I love personal finance, I was doing absolutely everything right until this year in my life where I started blowing money. I spent over $100,000 worth of credit, and I hid about 50% of that for my husband, which now has earned me that label of financial infidelity. And I laugh now because I'm okay with it, but I mean it was a really hard journey, and going through that, hiding that debt, spending that money, and all the time when I was doing it, I knew I shouldn't be doing it. I'm trained. I know that this is not the way to achieve my financial goals, yet I kept doing it. And I kept feeling like I needed more. I needed more. I needed more. And every time I got more, I wasn't feeling like satisfied, right? It would be like a flash in the pan kind of moment, like, oh, look at this new object, it's great. And then I'd be like, nope, that's not it, I need something else. And eventually, $100,000 is a lot of credit to burn through without letting my husband know. And I had to come clean. And in this moment where I came clean, it was really like the bottom out moment where my husband looked at me and he was so disappointed. And I knew in that moment that I had to figure out why I had allowed myself to do this. Otherwise, this whole journey would have been fruitless, right? Like I had to learn the lesson. So it took me about a year, exploring different things, trying to figure out what was going on, that I allowed myself to do this. And once I got to that point and I realized it was all because of my emotion around money, like how did I as a money expert allow myself to do this, and realizing that I just wasn't feeling good about myself. I wasn't measuring up to the standards that I had set for myself or that society had set for me, the narrative that I was falling into. That's when everything changed for me, and I was like, that's it. I have to start doing the things that make me happy, the things that bring me joy. And once I started doing that, my feelings of inadequacy were no longer there, and I wasn't searching for that next thrill of spending money, right?
Yeah.
So through that, I learned so much, and now I can help other people because I understand how our emotions are tied to money, and I understand how people come to me and they're massive amounts of debt, and one of the main things they say to me is, your story inspires me because I don't feel so stupid. And it's not about, I mean, what's that expression there? It's that 80% behavior, 20% knowledge.
Mhm.
I mean, your money mindset is 80% of your money management skills, right? And knowing how to be in touch with yourself and manage your money mindset is vital. So when people come to me, they feel more comfortable telling me what they have done with their money because they know there's no judgment there. I've been there, I've done it. There's no judgment.
really makes you a powerful ally for them, right? A powerful tool that they can use because you've walked that walk. And
Yes,
I know for me,
yes.
and I think you and I have actually talked about this. That's one of the hardest things. I mean, I am I used to, I would let weeks and weeks go by to not have to go to the mailbox and go see all the bills that were coming in back in the day when I was a
Yes.
single parent raising my two older kids, because I had, didn't matter what the bank account said. There was enough money in there to pay the bills, but there was something for me in this emotion that I had, and this story that I had, the belief that I had, you know, um, around what it meant if I went and took them out of the mailbox. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes, but and then I wouldn't want to talk to anybody about it. I wouldn't talk to any financial person about it was something I didn't grow up with that as a model. I didn't understand the power of it. I do now, but I think for you, the if I'd had someone like you that had already been there, or that I would have felt like I could have probably been more vulnerable to talk through the traps that I know that I got myself into many years
Hmm.
ago. That took a long time to get out of. We create these
Yeah, and it's so funny
patterns.
how we carry these money stories, right? And
Exactly.
sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money stories that rooted in your childhood that you're still carrying as an adult.
Yeah.
And so many of us don't realize how it's holding us back, not only as business owners, but people in general. Whether you're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, you have some money stories, and if they're not resolved, they will hold you back financially.
Wow, that's really good. And it plays right into our theme, which is playing not to lose, and playing not to lose with your finances, playing not to lose with your money. Tell me what that, there's so many places I want to go. I want to understand what that means to you, but I also want to understand more about the money story, money mindset when it comes to the trap of our emotions. Um, I just see that it gives me a visual of the emotions trapping us and creating a
Yes.
story in our head, right? And we
Yeah.
replay that story because we're visual as human beings. And
Yeah.
then what comes out of it is the manifestation of, right, through the mindset we've just adopted. So that's the way I frame it up. I don't know how you would frame
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's so many stories. Like everybody has their own personal story.
it.
And a lot of common ones are, especially for women, it's like, well, if I want to be wealthy, that's greedy.
Mm,
Or I'm a bad person if I make a lot of money. Or being comfortable with debt. Maybe you grew up in your household, money was always scarce, so
mhm.
that you learn that behavior. Whatever the story is happening with you, you've come by it honestly, but you have to acknowledge it before you can start breaking that habit.
It's so good. And it applies to everyone. I know that your core
Mhm.
demographic is that entrepreneur level, and as you and I've discussed, the audience in the sandbox is entrepreneur and corporate, right? They're leaders who are trying
Yeah.
to lead themselves well and in order to lead others. And I'm curious, and this is what comes up for me. How might a leader in any size of company who has a team of people around them, if they find that someone's struggling in their behavior, how do you tap into the conversation around if that has anything to do with their personal relationships with their finances? Does that land?
Yeah, so I mean, whether you're in corporate or you own your own business, everybody feels this certain financial pressure. I think it's absolutely natural to feel like you have to, keep up with the Joneses, play a big game, look like you're more important than you are necessarily by having, lots of, toys or whatever. But the thing is, those are usually the people that are broke. And I know this because, in my experience, when I was working in tax and having those personal tax returns come in every year and looking at the big money makers versus the ones who were just barely scraping by, the common thread I would see is the ones that were scraping by were the ones that looked like they had the most money.
Mm,
And then the millionaires, I mean, it's kind of like the Millionaire Next Door book, right? Where you're seeing people who really value the relationship with money, value what money brings them. They invest their money and they're living off their passive income.
yeah.
They have no stress in the world. Life is good. They drive their Volkswagen or whatever it is that they're driving, and they're wearing their t-shirts and jeans, and they probably don't own anything in their wardrobe over $1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's very stereotypical, but it's true. Like, people who value money and have a good relationship with money do not feel the need to flaunt it. So what happens is when you're flaunting your money and you're getting yourself into more debt, more debt, more debt, it creates a financial stress, right? And it's going to affect your behavior because, as for all of us, when we're stressed out, we are not ourselves. And financial stress is definitely a factor in mental health,
Yes.
right? Because if you're struggling with your finances, you're going to struggle with your mental health and your self-worth and all that. And so that's why it's so important, because financial health is a pillar of health, and making sure that you can show up as your best self and healthiest self is really important. So if you see somebody who may be struggling at work, you know, have that conversation. Say, hey, like, I mean, it's really hard because money is perceived as such a taboo topic,
Yeah.
but opening the opportunity to have that conversation with somebody, whether they take the bait or not, is entirely up to them. But just letting them know that, hey, you're not alone. Like, I used to stress out, like, you can kind of see the signs with people sometimes, right? And, just open that dialogue.
Yeah. I love that, financial health as a pillar of health. And you said something also that I had to chuckle about, which I just heard this the other day, that the Joneses are having a hard time keeping up with the Joneses.
Yes.
Right? We've
I
created,
was the Joneses. I can absolutely attest to that.
right? It's like, yes,
Yeah.
that one made me laugh when you said it, because it reminded me of that. Yes, there is so much truth in that statement, and we
Yeah.
have such a distorted picture of whoever these Joneses are that
Yeah.
everyone's trying to keep up with. And I think what I also heard in what you said that's so important, and this is for gosh, for so many people, for you sitting there in your office listening today, and you're thinking about the team that you're leading, or you're driving in your car thinking about the people that you're going to go into the next meeting with when you get into the office. They may be struggling with a performance issue based on what's happening outside of the office environment. And we're so often going to tie it to or attribute it to what's going on inside, right? Because that's what we can see is in the workplace, and yet it may be very unrelated and completely outside of the office. And I wonder what it would be like if companies offered, just like they offer health club memberships, they offer a financial club membership for people to get the pulse, if you will, of the health status of their finances, and help them to do that in a confidential and secure way.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm definitely seeing more corporate training on managing your personal finances, because employers are starting to realize how it is an integral part of your health.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
it's a pillar of health. I loved how you said that. All right. So I would love to hear from you then on this one question. How does playing not to lose with your money, how does that resonate with you?
That's a loaded question. That resonates with me in so many different ways. I don't even know where to start with that one. So I'm going to try to frame this for your audience, where I'm thinking that, playing not to lose with your money really means that you are creating the best possible relationship that you can have with your money, right? Having that positive relationship. And many people don't think of, like, they're like, money relationship. What are you talking about? Right. But it's how you relate with money. And if you're looking at money like it's your friend, and you're being kind to it and relating with it well, and not abusing it, that's setting you up for financial success.
I love that. Not abusing it, and identifying what those triggers, I would think, would be, that if you've had a past experience with abusing money, right, misusing it, what are
Yeah,
the triggers for you, and go to work to remove them, right, to get them out.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So then, what are your 3 tips that you would share to inspire action to our friends in the sandbox today, so that they win with their money?
Absolutely. Number one is when you are negotiating for your salary. And this can apply to entrepreneurs as well, right? But it's important to look at money as being fairly compensated for what you deserve. And especially those in corporate and women who don't understand that salaries are always negotiable, and you want to set yourself up for the best possible um, financial road that you can possibly create for yourself, right? Make sure that you're negotiating and that you are getting reimbursed for your value. The second one would be it's absolutely imperative to take your money and invest it into appreciable assets. So don't go blow your money on things like vacations and cars and things that really, at the end have no value. When you build up your financial assets, you can start living off that passive income once you get to a certain point, right? So that is really, really key if you're interested in setting yourself up for financial freedom. And then the third one would be that when you're creating your financial goals, and this is what I challenge people to do all the time, is to create goals that are meaningful to you so that you stay motivated and are working towards. So it's really important to have financial goals so that you know what it is that you want out of life and create that roadmap to get there. Right.
Mhm.
And going back to what I was talking about earlier, where, you may have a story and this happens so many times when I'm working with women where it's like, I don't want to be greedy. I just want enough so I can get by. And I challenge people to think beyond that, right? It's like, why is it okay for you to just get by? Because a lot of good can be created with wealth, right? Like, if you feel like, well, I don't need a lot of wealth, but I like to donate or I like to support causes that are near and dear to my heart, wherever the case may be, money provides a lot of opportunity for that. So, understanding that money does not buy happiness, but that money contributes to a lot of opportunities for you is key in understanding where you want to go in your wealth as well.
Yeah. Well, and having those goals of what you want for the future and how it relates to the dollars, right? The dollars and cents of it is so key to keeping our mind focused on where we're going, not where we're at, because we can be stuck in
Yeah.
our current reality. And it's
Yeah.
the best way that I know, whether it's financial or people in the workplace that are struggling because they're in an environment where they've reached their expiration date and they really want to get out, but they're so focused in right now, where they can play and navigate that in a way that feels like they're constantly losing. The way they get out of that is to be future focused, and the same with their finances, right? Be future
Mm-hmm.
focused and have those goals and those targets that you're going toward is so key. And that's in relationship, that's in money, that's in all aspects of life. Having that future focus is so key to get
Yeah.
unstuck, if you will, from where we're at currently. Yeah, for sure. So I love all of your tips. I love the money story. What is the money story that you tell yourself now? What's your money story?
Now I tell myself that money is a tool.
Mhm.
It's going to help get me to where I want to go. I have no shame in wanting a lot of money. And like, I work hard and I expect to be rewarded financially, right? And so having those big lofty goals for myself is absolutely valuable and I work towards achieving them and I'm always creating new goals. If I've created one goal or if I've reached one goal, create the next goal and the next goal and the next goal. And I also know that wanting wealth for me is not selfish. It's not greedy. This is just me saying, you know what? I like the finer things in life. And if I'm going to work hard, I'm going to get them,
Yeah.
right? It just kind of makes it a little bit more comfortable. Like I said, it doesn't buy me happiness, but it buys a comfort level.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's great. Something that I'm kind of curious about actually in your journey, you talked a lot about just, for the year that you took to really get in and dig into and understand what got you to the position that you were with the debt, right? So
Mhm.
tell me about, can you share a little bit, maybe one or two steps of that process over the year of how you unpacked, that would be my terminology, your own money mindset and how you got to the root level of what landed you in that position? Because I think that's really key.
I really love this question for a few reasons. And the main reason is that as I continue on with my life, looking back at that place in the road and where I am now, I still have money mindset challenges, right? And money mindset is a muscle that needs to be exercised regularly. So, what I do with myself, and I always encourage my clients to do this as well, is check in and see if your mindset is still positive towards money. Are you still creating a good relationship with money? And if things are off, you really got to figure out why. You got to look deeper. It's a lot of, looking within yourself and understanding yourself and just being self-aware, because you'll notice, like I know for me, I'll notice that if I start, oh, let's see what's online, see if there's anything I can buy. I know that that is a trigger for me, right? And it's like I take a step back and I think, why am I doing this? What's going on that needs attention that I'm not willing to put attention towards or not aware of, right?
Really good.
So just constantly being, not constantly, but regularly being in check with my mindset and knowing that it's not a set it or forget it. It's a, we're going to keep working at this. We're going to keep working at it and keep going and keep focused on the end goal.
There must have been something as I was preparing last week and for our conversation today and processing through where I wanted to go with our conversation and where I hoped we went with our conversation. I actually had a bit of an epiphany, and I'll completely tell on myself. You and I have talked about the challenges that we have here in our home, having a daughter with mental illness, and that what I have recognized, we're in a season of really some pretty big challenges with her right now. And what I recognized after I walked out of I'll say a box store and spent, I don't know, $350 on nothing but randomness.
Yeah.
And it felt so good for a second of just like, I realized it. I don't, as I said, it must have been in my subconscious mind going to work on my behalf, my creative subconscious. But whoa, what did I do that for? Why? What's the why behind it? What was the impulsivity at it? Right? That there
Yeah.
really wasn't. Yeah, sure, we needed milk, right? Like we needed a couple of things, but I didn't need to spend that amount of money. And I realized it was tied to solving a problem in my head, bringing ease to a stressful situation that we had been facing over the last that about a week's 10 days period of time. And that was a release for me to just
Yeah.
like go and lose myself for a minute. And oh my heck, it was a wake up call. That's
Yeah.
totally, that's why I went back to that money story, the money mindset, just how those emotions and that trap of emotions that you talk about. The emotions can come from a whole bunch of other areas, and we can use that money as that release, or
Yeah.
that spending, I should say, as that release, not in a healthy way, right? Really
Exactly.
important to have that awareness. So
Exactly. So it's awesome that you were able to recognize it and reel yourself back in
yeah, well,
instead of continuing. Yeah, but if you had continued,
sure.
like so many people do,
Yeah.
$100,000 worth of debt later,
No.
it happens.
Yeah, no, it was thankfully it was in, $350 cash out the door, and we have some great new Christmas decorations, but not necessary when you look at our storage room.
Yeah. Well, this is it, right?
Yeah, and that's really. So let's hear about what's coming out in March. I'm excited for you. What's
It's
happening?
actually May. So May of
It's May.
2023.
Okay,
Yeah.
May. All right.
Yeah, my first book, Cash Confident: An Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Profitable Business,
Yeah.
will be out in May 16th, 2023. So I'm very excited about that.
That is so exciting. Congratulations. I know that you
Thank you.
have another, we were talking also about the second one that's kind of in the works, the second book
Yep.
that's
Second
more.
book is in the works. I'm going to start working on a book that's geared more towards entrepreneurs and how to manage your personal finances with a focus on, you know, I'm not going to release too much about the book, but focusing on things that really impact people who are employed.
Yeah, it's really good. So you're going after the two audiences that I think I know that your message will resonate with. So I'm really thrilled for you. Congratulations on the book.
Thank
And
you.
you are also an author. You write articles for
Yeah, so I have a column with Forbes.com, and I write for other large publications. I write for my blog, my personal blog. She Means Profit is basically my love, right? It's writing the articles, getting them out there. I write because it feels cathartic. I write because I know that I'm helping business owners and entrepreneurs really focus on how to create wealth for themselves. And as I mentioned before, and I'll keep saying it, money does not buy happiness, but it provides a lot of opportunity, and it takes a lot of stress away from your daily life. So it's really my passion to help people. Money is such an integral part of our lives. So I love to help people look at money more as a tool than something that makes them happy.
Yeah, so good. Tool versus happiness. All right, so you have opportunity for people to engage with you, and you're at your website. And tell us about what's opportunities. Yeah, what are some of those opportunities you have available for people to engage with you?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about creating a profitable business, you can go to my website at shemeansprofit.com and grab your free copy of the 5-step roadmap to a profitable. Oh, I can't speak. Grab yourself a copy of the 5-step roadmap to a profitable biz, and there you will have the 5-step cash confident framework that I've basically based my book on. And if you're interested in pre-ordering the book, hopefully we'll keep a link in the show notes for pre-order.
There will be a link in the show notes, and
Awesome.
the after action plan for people to also get a hold of and get their hands on more information all about you and cash confidence. And I love I love all the things that you're up to. The She Means Profit is such a great title.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for joining me in the sandbox today. I know that this conversation, while it was a quick one, is going to benefit people at just a really personal level. And I think with our finances, that's where you got to go. You got to be willing to go personal so that you can make the impact that you want in the world. So I appreciate.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. It's been a great talk.
Such a pleasure. We will see you again in the sandbox soon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me in the sandbox today. And thanks to my guest, Melissa Houston, all the way from Ottawa, Canada, for joining me in the sandbox as well. It was an honor and a privilege to host her and hear about her testimony of overcoming her own money struggles and her own money mindset. Even though as a CPA, she worked with finances and works with people and her own finances all day. It's a passion of hers. And isn't it interesting that we can find ourselves as that professional working our craft that we know we are destined to do? We can still find ourselves struggling with the very thing that we help others to overcome. What I love about the story that Melissa shared is she understands the value in her own story of overcoming and how it helps the clients that she serves. I want to challenge you with this. How is your story serving you to impact others more positively in the world today? Thanks again for joining me. And if you find this episode to have been helpful in any way, I would love it if you take a minute and share it with a friend or a colleague that you feel could really benefit from the conversation we had in the sandbox today. You know, third-party affirmations go a long way in today's world economy, and it would be an honor if you took a moment and clicked share on this episode. And leave a review. I'd love to hear a positive review from you. You know, I read every one of them, and we are constantly looking at more opportunity to have a greater impact with this podcast. And your reviews help us to know when we're hitting the mark or when we're missing the mark. By the way, head on over to tammyjbond.com/podcast and make sure that you ask for your copy of today's after action plan. We'll have more tips and strategies on navigating your own money story as you play not to lose with your money. Make it a great day.